Hello, 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 and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller. Joining me today is Intern Tones and Justin McGovern. What's going on, fellas?
Top of the morning.
We
Yeah.
are recording on a different day than we normally record, so we have our coffees instead of waters. So this will be pretty entertaining. Today, Justin, what are we talking about?
We are talking about the most hatingest division in the NFL, the AFC North.
Yeah, just straight up rock fight of a division. No domes, all elements. It's fantastic football. Um, Before we get into that, just want to tell everybody about who we are. So we're Updog Sports Talk. We like to stick up for the little guy. Justin being a Bills fan, Tony and I being Bengals fans. We've gone through our fair share of fandom turmoil. So we like to stick up for the less represented teams. So sit back, relax, and watch us evenly give out sports takes on each team. So AFC North, it's here, boys. To a better managed team. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, has been a model of consistency over the last 60 years. They have had, what, 4 head coaches in their entire existence? Mike Tomlin being there for close to 20 years now. Never had a losing season. They've done a lot of changing on this roster, so we'll see if that holds up. We'll get to that in a second. But they did bring in, they brought in DK Metcalf, paid him $100 million. They brought in Robert Woods. They shipped out George Pickens. They brought in Aaron Rodgers. They brought back Mason Rudolph. They brought in a whole slew of quarterbacks and running backs. They signed Darius Slay. They signed Juwan Thornton, and they traded for Jalen Ramsey. They did get rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick, so one big leader of their defense is gone. Justin, how they do in the draft?
Yeah, so they had a few picks in the draft this year, not a ton. So there's not so many impact players, but Derek Harmon was their first round pick, defensive tackle out of Oregon to really help on the inside. Or sorry, he's a defensive end. I know he's kind of was between, so I kind of got confused there. Looks like he's going to be an end in this defense. Gives him another pass rusher besides T.J. Watt. Obviously, Cam Hayward at his age is mostly a run stopper, so they really needed someone else to get pressure on quarterbacks, which he's going to do a good job of that. You have Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa. I feel like I'm a broken record here by saying I feel like the running back was a good pick, but there's just that many good running backs in the draft. Caleb Johnson was one of them.
Caleb Johnson was one of those running backs that like just snuck into being really good. Like, I feel like of all the running backs, Ashton Genty was the safest bet, but he was a top 10 pick, top 12 pick. Caleb Johnson was I wouldn't say biggest risk, but I feel like you got better bang for your buck. Because not everyone's going to be able to pick top 12. Caleb Johnson was the other guy you could take anywhere in the draft and know what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly. And he's going to be a guy that can really work in between the tackles as well. So he'll be a good, tough running back for this team. Will Howard was a nice, sneaky pick because, I mean, he's a guy who felt like carried pretty limited upside, but then you see what he did in that playoff run. And it's really hard to imagine that he would have fallen to the 6th round like he did. So that's a good sneaky pick. Jack Sawyer, though, was probably my favorite pick in this draft. I thought he was going to go a lot earlier. It just makes so much sense that he landed here. Very much a Rust Belt kind of guy, and that's what you want in this defense.
By the way, with Jack Sawyer, I said that he was going 3rd or 4th round, and every single Ohio State fan, including you, Justin, said that I was completely wrong and I don't know what I'm talking
Even you, Justin.
Even me. But I mean, we'll see. He landed here, so I can't imagine other teams in the division are too thrilled about that.
He reminds me a lot of Sam Hubbard.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah, he
not going to
does.
be like a leader in sacks, but he's going to get you a handful of sacks, and he's going to dominate on the run.
Yeah, gonna make some plays here and there, make some huge plays. And again, like he fits this locker room so well. Very much lunch pail, Rust Belt kind of guy a little bit. So that's what you're looking for the Steelers defense, obviously. A few other reserves, so nothing too huge with the rest of their picks in the draft.
Yeah, Will Howard did break a bone in his hand, but they expect him to be able to kind of play through it. He probably won't get a ton of reps just because of that. They're probably going to try to rest him a little bit. But they signed Mason Rudolph and Aaron Rodgers for a reason. Mason Rudolph, familiar with the team. Aaron Rodgers, big name. He's in his 40s, so we'll see how he plays. Um,
So here's my thoughts on how he plays, though, because last year he was with the Jets, and I feel like he got a lot of flack for how things went, but I mean, it's the Jets. The Jets are cursed. When you consider his stats, like he almost had 4,000 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks. Like that's not a bad stat line for a Jets quarterback. So I think he can actually still play at a pretty solid level. Obviously, he's not the same as he was like 3 years ago or whenever he last won MVP, but he's still a really good quarterback. It's just all about can he wipe that Jets stink off of him.
yeah. Tony, strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, yeah. I think, and we've talked about all of their strengths and their weaknesses, as it were. Their defense extremely solid, always is. That's the Tomlin special. Then the offense, they bring in Metcalf. He's someone who's hungry to prove, his value. Maybe make Seattle pay a little bit. And so bringing in Rodgers, that makes sense. The only thing I think, kind of the weakness, and it plays into one of their strengths is, how is Aaron Rodgers going to perform at, 40 plus years old? Is he going to be planted back there like a tree? And then if so, if he's not mobile, is the offensive line going to be able to protect him to distribute the ball? So it'll all be at what point of his spiritual journey Rodgers is at.
And I think everybody can agree that at this point, the offensive line is still a project. They have Broderick Jones, who is a big man, bigger, meatier man, but still a little bit of a project. Needs to learn a little bit, but very solid. Zach Frazier, second round pick. Mason McCormick, fourth round pick. Tony Fontenot, first round pick last year. So they've spent some capital in the draft collecting some of these players. I think a lot of them are just young. I think if they can get a solid coach in there, I think eventually they can have a very solid offensive line, but they're all learning together.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Ciamalo from Philly from a handful of years ago. But other than that, they haven't had like a consistent staple on this offensive line that's a veteran that can teach these guys like Steelers football. And I think the other than defense, the offensive line has been like in order for the Steelers to succeed, they have to have a good offensive line. And I think they'll get to that. It's just going to take some time because they're all young. They all have flaws. They're all learning together.
Yeah, this is a position that was really a major problem spot for several years, and now they kind of went through a bit of a refresh. All of these guys have come in here. All five starters have come in here in the last 2 years. Obviously, four of them via the draft. Jones in 2023, and then the latter three there, Frazier, McCormick, and Fatanu, all came in the 2024 draft. So all three of those guys came from last year's draft. So this is a young group. But, while last year there's a lot of change, this year all five starters are back. Another offseason of working together. So we'll see, but I think it could possibly be a unit that takes a step forward. How big of a step will be a big question, but I think we're kind of underrating what an upgrade DK Metcalf is a receiver over George Pickens.
I was just about to get to that.
Keep in mind, George Pickens, his stat line from last year, the last game of last year, 6 targets, 1 reception, 0 yards, and it felt like 10 penalties.
Yeah, and he just kind of gave up on plays. Like, you could see that, it wasn't going to work out with the Steelers much longer. And I think DK wanted money. I think because he got his money, he's going to still play super well. Robert Woods, very experienced, a little injury prone, but you have Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Ben Skowronek, Scotty Miller. I think they have a solid receiver room. And then Freiermuth, very good target in the red zone. Jonnu Smith, bringing him in. I think at this point, Darnell Washington may not be what we think he is at tight end. I can see him moving to tackle and being rotated in at tackle a little bit more. But I think this is a make or break year for keeping Mike Tomlin. If Mike Tomlin can make the playoffs and get a win, I think he stays around. If they don't make the playoffs or if they can't get that first round win, I think we're looking at a Mike Tomlin exit in Pittsburgh.
You think so, even though they have not had a losing record in how many years?
Yeah,
I
think
during his
I think so
tenure.
because the Steelers front office is so good, and their history says Super Bowl or bust. Like, that's their mentality. And if you're barely getting into the playoffs and you're exiting in the first round, there's a certain level of expectation. Like, that's what the Bengals wanted to do in the 90s. That's what the Browns have wanted to do before they got Baker Mayfield. Like, that's not what the Steelers want to do. So I think we may be looking at Tomlin exiting even with a winning season and a playoff berth, just because they want to put more trophies in the trophy case. Follow us at Updog Sports Talk on everywhere on the internet. YouTube, YouTube Music. You can find us on Spotify, which I gotta work on getting the rest of the episodes on there. Podbean, iHeartRadio. We're on Reddit, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Follow us everywhere. We love interacting with people, so feel free to comment on our stuff. All of our news and updates go through X. Just best place to follow us on X. If content coming out on Instagram. But yeah, that was the AFC North. We are going to go live in the fall. Justin is wrapping up college football previews, so if you are a college football fan, definitely follow along with his videos as well. And we will catch you guys live this fall. See you guys.